In this episode of Testimony, a Musician Story presented by Sound Seekers, I talked to rapper and singer Kaleb Mitchell. Now, I talked to Kaleb when he was like 15 years old, did an Up and Comers episode with him featuring Rockstar JT. But a lot has happened since then. He lost his best friend to gun violence, he discovered his father has a drug problem, and he himself got sick and lost his voice. He also worked with Def Jam and met former CEO Paul Rosenberg. And he talks about that entire experience and the full circleness of him starting off rapping because of 8 Mile.
Definitely.
But let's go ahead and first start with your first music memory, whether it be a song you heard, a video, or a performance you saw. First music memory.
First music memory. I think the first one that stood out to me was um I was like 5, either 5 or 4 years old, and there's this dude wearing a polo and a backpack on 106 in Park. My older brother's watching it, and I'm like, who is this? It's the video premiere for a song called Jesus Walks. And I was like, wait, this sounds like the music that my mom plays, but this also sounds like the hip hop my dad plays. This is like a cross between two worlds, and I was like, this is blowing my mind. And from that moment, I was a dedicated hip hop fan at 5 years old. So my older brother started playing me like the edited versions of College Dropout, late registration, and all the rest of it. So from that point, I think that's one of my first real memories of just me being a fan of music.
All right, so your first real memory is Kanye West's Jesus Walks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a major song. That was a big record at the time.
Hmm.
So,
Definitely.
it's interesting though to hear like you were 5 years old when that came out.
Yeah. I was. Wow, that's crazy.
All right. So, and going to your childhood and where you were
Hmm.
raised, you were born in what, Morristown, New Jersey?
Yeah, I was born in Morristown Memorial Hospital to be exact. We lived in Union, New Jersey for a while, and then my younger brother came along, so we moved to Morris County, and I grew up in Wharton, went to schools in Wharton and stuff until I was junior high, and then I went to high school in Denville. So pretty much, I've been all around North Jersey, Morris County, pretty much my entire life.
Okay. And your household, who was in your household? You mentioned an older brother.
Yeah.
Did you have any other siblings?
Yeah, I'm the middle child, so I have an older brother and a younger brother. Mom and dad. Dad is from Jersey. My mom is actually from Kenya, so I had like pretty much the best of both worlds. Pretty much seeing, just how people operate, and the Kenyan side and their customs and traditions, and just how they operate, and then obviously Jersey and a lot of northerner energy and all the rest of it. So I kind of had the best of both worlds growing up.
Okay, so I didn't know the Kenya, that your mom was from Kenya. I mean, that does bring a different
Yeah.
dynamic into the household. And in that
Mhm.
area, was it heavily populated with just immigrants at all? And then was it? I mean, because there's usually like Caribbeans like on the East Coast, or
Yeah.
Syrians are pretty much everywhere. But Kenyans, was that a huge community?
Not a lot. There's not a lot of Kenyans. You can find a lot of Jamaicans. Some of my friends are Haitian. A lot of my friends are either, Colombian, Puerto Rican, or anything else, but not a lot of Kenyans. Like, I think I may have met one other Kenyan around here in my lifetime, which is kind of wild. But yeah, we're the only, I think, only Kenyan family for a while.
Okay. And then, I mean, how is that though? Because you have the two different dynamics.
Yeah.
Tree, your dad who's from here and East Coast, like that's a whole nother just culture in its own.
hmm
How did those like collide and how was that?
It was interesting to say the least. Some things mom would agree with, dad wouldn't, but some things dad vouched for, mom wouldn't. It was. I mean, I'm grateful that I was able to grow up in a household like that because I guess I'm more in tune with, my roots, and I can see exactly where I come from, and just being able to, have conversations with family and like my grandmother before she passed, and just get knowledge of different things like other than a traditional American experience. I was grateful for that, but yeah, it was especially when it came to doing the music thing and like the whole college situation. That was a fight. That was a fight because yeah, it was
Go to college. If you have
yeah,
that are from Africa, you're going to college.
yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting debate until things started like to materialize, and it's like, okay, this isn't just like a pipe dream. Like he's actually trying to make something happen. So it was all right, but before that, it was, oh boy, it was a fight for a while.
Okay. And was it a Christian household?
Yeah, on both sides.
So, did you go to an American church or African? Like, what was?
Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in the Baptist church my entire life. Actually, Calvary Baptist Church in Morristown, New Jersey, to be exact. Like I was baptized there, like 4 years old. Grew up there. I played keys in the children's choir when I was younger. My little brother actually played the drums. Uh, it was a big part of who I am, and just growing up, like making a whole bunch of friends. Like a lot of my friends are from there. Even if we've moved around and stuff, we're still tightly bonded. Like we never really lost that connection.
Okay. And so, pretty much your whole time in church, you were playing music then?
From the age of 5, yeah, it's actually a funny story. It was I think the song was Imagine Me. I think by Kirk Franklin. My mom was playing it because she was listening to the radio, and I had like this Casio keyboard that I had gotten for Christmas, and I hadn't touched it until that day. I came home and I tried to mess around with it, and I was able to like play the song back by memory, and that's how we learned or discovered that I knew how to play things by ear. And from 5 until now, I haven't really stopped, and it's just evolved in different stages of trying to play other people's music. Then, okay, how do people make music today? Okay, what's a software? What's the XYZ? And just evolving until I started making my own albums and stuff.
That's crazy. So, the Kirk Franklin song, when you were playing
Mhm.
that by ear, how old did you say were you?
5.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're
a lot
definitely
of things happen.
definitely born with it. So you were playing music in the church. That means you
Mhm.
were attending church multiple times a week because you at least had worship rehearsal and had to rehearse for that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
When did it become real for you? When did you personally give your life to Christ?
Um, I think it really became a real thing for me around. I want to say I was like 13 or 14. Uh, it just there was just a whole lot going on with my mom being sick, and she had gotten diagnosed with cancer, and there was just certain things happening and certain things beginning to happen, even things that I kind of touch on the new album. Those were in the beginning stages, and it was a weird time, and I felt like I just kept seeing things that I couldn't explain other than being God, like ways being made that weren't possible. by human hands, and I just was like, okay, maybe this is like you hear as a kid, you hear it from other people. You see, like you go to church, you see people falling out and all the rest of it. It's like, what is this about? You don't really understand it until you start experiencing life. And I feel like just with certain situations, I kind of had to grow up quick and I guess go through things that a lot of my peers really didn't see or experience until they were older. And I don't know, it just became more apparent to me that I'm not really in control of this thing here, and there's somebody else who's guiding me through these situations.
So it wasn't necessarily one main thing, it was a series of
Yeah,
that led
yeah,
you.
it was a series of things.
And so around what age do you think that was?
13, 14,
Okay.
kind of, yeah, it kind of became more real to me, and I kind of developed, I guess, my own relationship instead of just like being dragged to church and all the rest. As a kid, I kind of stood back and felt like, oh, well, something feels different, and maybe I want to start, learning on my own and just growing, just growing.
Okay. And you said that you were experiencing things that a lot of your peers weren't. Did your peers know what you were going through at the time, or did you keep it all inward?
That was yeah, that's actually a big thing that I had to kind of grow out of, or well, you still trying to grow out of is internalizing things, and that's something that I kind of tried to shed with this new album. It's like highly personal, and it's a lot of stuff that even may have been going on throughout my career that the whole time, like I'd be making, really turned up songs and happy songs and stuff like that. And a lot of these situations have been ongoing, but I felt like it was kind of like a breaking point where I felt like, all right, if I don't start getting more introspective and start, expressing things to other people and um, stop trying to hoard all these emotions and stuff because it's gonna hurt me in the long run. I definitely used music as therapy and started opening up a lot more to the people around me, and it was it was interesting seeing people's reactions because some of them had absolutely no idea what was going on with me or anything like that. So it it definitely deepened a lot of my relationships, especially with my manager Erin. It's so strange how a lot of things in our lives are kind of parallel, and she's kind of the same way where she's like a really really strong person, so she'll try to handle everything herself. And we both came to the realization kind of like we have to start depending more on each other and opening up more and just being a lot more honest with each other because it's only healthy, it's right for everyone to have someone to go to.
Right on. That's true. Um, so at this point, for those who don't know, like I actually interviewed Caleb when he was like around this age that he's talking about 15, 14, 15.
Yeah.
And so testimony musician story, he was featured as an up and comer with Rockstar JT, if you want to hear that one. But I feel like since then, at that point, your life switched up and things changed. And
Mm-hmm.
even though probably when we were talking, you were internally going through these things, but it didn't come up.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know about this. So first, I want to ask about your mom. Do you mind if I ask what type of cancer it was?
Yeah, it was breast cancer. She was diagnosed I think when I was around 12 or 13, and yeah, I think I was in like middle school or something like that, and it was kind of a shock for us because she that's another thing. She's really like she's my hero pretty much because like she knew like before Christmas, but she didn't she didn't tell us until like the next like January pretty much because she wanted us to enjoy the holiday. So just things like that. Just she kind of like I don't know. She's super strong. She's inspiration for me.
Sheltering you guys.
Yeah.
And how is she now?
She's good. She's good by the grace of God. She's good. Um, you still have to deal with, certain side effects and keeping up with prescriptions and all the rest of that kind of stuff, but she's out of the woods, so I'm grateful for that.
Okay. And because of your honest music, because you're
Hmm.
so transparent in this, latest project, we know about the loss of your brother and your father being an addict. Let's start with your brother. When did you lose him?
Yeah, so that's it's actually like my very good friend that I call my brother. Thankfully my older brother, young brother is still with us, but yeah, this is my guy from day one. His name is Jihad Payne. We grew up in the same church together, and literally since day one, we actually met in the choir stand at choir rehearsal as kids. He the goofiest, most kind-hearted person ever. He was 23 when he passed. He dedicated his life to working with kids, especially kids with special needs, and he it was weird. We kind of like stumbled into each other into like this friendship. Like I think I may have been 11 years old, and I was just because my mom would work in the church, so after school on like Friday, I'd go to the church with her. She'd pick me up from school. I'd go to the church, and I'd be in like the chapel or something like that, just practicing piano because it was the only place that was like quiet. And he walked in one day, and I was like, "What's up? What's up?" And I think I was playing some song that I heard on the radio, and he was like, "You know how to play this song?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could do blah blah blah." And I played it, and he was like, "Yo, what the heck? Like you're mad talented." And then we just became cool after that, and it was just he was just one of those people that were if he's for you, he's like for you. Like this man stood outside with me in the heat passing out my CD like it was his. Like as a 13, 14-year old, like when I started making music, he would go up to people like, yo, check my boy out, blah, 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 blah. Like he was a special kind of person. Like you only get once every 100 years. Like he was very, very special. It was just, wrong place, wrong time. Jersey. I love Jersey, but sometimes I hate it here because it's just it's a violent place sometimes, and he was caught in the wrong situation and got shot. So, uh, yeah, that was 2019. It was the most weird day because it was actually around the time that I was starting to work on the album, and we were actually supposed to work on something together because he was musically inclined. He actually painted. He was graphic designer, whatever. Like he painted, he drew, all the rest of that, and he had offered a long time ago, like, yo, one of your albums, I want to be able to draw it. I was like, of course. And he had actually called me months prior, like, yo, we got to start working on something. And this was after the whole, I think, 973 and the Mitchell albums, they had all come out, and I was getting ready to start working on the next one. And he called me at the right time. I was like, yeah, of course, we can work on whatever. And so going into my new album, it almost felt like, dang, I think I learned this term, survivor's guilt. It it felt weird knowing that some of this music I was supposed to work on him with, and it was just that was a lot. And I felt like if I'm gonna do this album, I want to be able to make him proud and make it like the best thing that I've ever done.
That's crazy. So I didn't realize how fresh that was, just 2019.
Yeah, yeah,
So were you guys around the same age then?
yeah. He was 2 years older than me. So he was kind of like a big brother, but we really didn't even like view each other like that. We were just brothers for real.
Still my condolences. I know that's still
Thank you, thank you.
still rough. Um, and then you also talk about your father.
Mm.
Um, I know he was like also played a major part in just music in your life,
Yeah, definitely.
always. And then he also turns out that he's an addict. Is this something that you were aware of, like most of your childhood? You found out earlier or later on? Like, how did that all come about?
There were certain things. There were certain things that, as I grew, I kind of noticed because I mean, you grow up, you experience the world, you start seeing certain traits and certain signs. It's like like even I talked about on Role Model 3, I was like being a little bit sneaky. You're not doing the things you say that you're doing. You're showing up different places. It just started. Things just started adding up where it was like, all right, either it's either A or B, and I really hope it's not A, but then it turned out that it was that situation. So it was it was kind of like my worst suspicion coming true, and I kind of known, but then he kind of came clean one day, and it was the culmination of a whole bunch of different other situations. So yeah, that was something I kind of suspected for a while, but yeah.
So, I mean, when he came clean, around what age were you then?
This is like fairly recent. I think it was maybe no. This is actually January of 2020,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, it's really still like an ongoing thing. Like I was in the dead middle of working on everything. Uh, Even trying to fight through not having my voice and not knowing how I was gonna make my next album. It was that was that was another thing. It was yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot that was happening at one time, but yeah, we January 2020 is when things kind of finally came to a head, and then he went off to get help and all the rest of that kind of stuff, and people kind of separated and things like that. So it was yeah, like fairly recent.
So when you found out, did you already write Role Model Part 3 or was it after?
Nah, that was wow. Wait, I'm trying to figure out. Did we? Funny enough, I had the beat. I had the beat in like no, I know exactly when it was. It was Halloween. I was actually at the Def Jam studio. Uh, I was in the Def Jam studio with my guy Enzo and Anthony Cruz, and I knew that I was going to continue that series because it was something that I was I was like dealing with in kind of silence. Like I wasn't talking about it and wasn't talking about family situations and all the rest of that. I knew that that series was going to continue and it was going to be about him and stuff. I had the beat, but I hadn't written it yet. And Halloween 2019, we were just all in the studio and we had this guitar loop and then we put drums on it, and I didn't even write it there in front of people because I knew this was going to be something that I had to sit down and kind of take my time with. And I just told them, yeah, send it to me and name it Role Model Part 3. They were like, oh, word. I was like, yeah, this is this is not gonna be fun. But then yeah, everything happened, and I kind of had time to process everything and just sit down and flush out all my ideas. It actually took me like I think 20 times to record all of those verses, especially the last one. The last one you can actually hear my voice crack a bunch of times, and I decided to keep that in there because I felt like it was more authentic. Like I didn't want to go back and polish myself and sound good or sound proper because it wasn't that kind of song. I felt like it needed the emotion that came out naturally. So I left that in there for just for see, when I make music, it's for me, but I know that other people are going through the same thing, so I want to be as transparent as possible because I know my story may not be that unique, and other people may be going through the same thing. So I just felt like I owed it to people to be honest.
No, thank you. I mean, you can feel it. You can definitely feel it in a role model. That's crazy though, because you put all that out there before your dad officially told you who he was.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's been like an ongoing thing for a while, but I just didn't have all of the details, but you could see certain signs and stuff like that, like just mode swings and changes in behavior and all the rest of that, and there was just a lot of arguing and yelling from the time I was super young. So it was just something that I kind of like had in the back of my mind for a minute. But yeah,
And let's talk about you getting sick and losing
yeah.
your voice. When did
Mhm.
this happen and how? Like, what was wrong?
So I think mid 2019, I started feeling weird. It felt like I just had a normal cold, so I kind of took like normal like Robitussin and stuff like that and cough drops wherever I went. And then I realized I kept going through cough drops and kept going through medicine and stuff like that. And I was like, okay,
So the test wasn't
this,
working.
no, not at all. And then I found myself like in the office actually at Def Jam around that time that they wanted to pick up Get It and use it as the Jet season anthem. And it was even hard for me to get words out. Like I was straining, and it was starting to get to the point where it was affecting the recordings. It was affecting how I sounded, and people were starting to ask, like, "All right, it's been a year since the last album. Like, any plans for?" And it was missing opportunities like syncs and placements and stuff like that. Like people were asking, "Oh, these people got this opportunity," and I would work on something and I'd be like, "I can't send you this because it sounded nuts. It dropped my voice so low to a point where it wasn't even like it didn't even sound healthy. Like it sounded almost scary the way my voice was. And then it just started kind of like giving out, and I had one last show to do in October of 2019, and so this is after a whole bunch of stuff had happened, just family wise, and then my friend had passed and all the rest of that, and then started getting sick, and then I had one last show to do, and for some reason, my voice held out the whole time until I did. I've always finished my sets with Get It, and then I walked off, and that was it. I was like, "Ugh," and it was gone. So this was like I had, for point of reference, the only things I had done for my album was Hell and Back. I knew that I was gonna drop Hell and Back, and I was kind of shooting for early 2020, and I had Hell and Back finished and a whole bunch of rough drafts, and it was done. I couldn't even speak. It was it was probably the scariest time of my life because music and recording and just the process of making music, even if it's something that doesn't come out, is something that I've done every day of my life since I was 13. So it it terrified me to think that I might not be able to do this again. So then you just start going down the rabbit hole of, okay, what do I do if I can't do this? Can I write? I don't know, can I ghost write for people? Do I have to get a job? Do I have to, like, and then it just, you sit home and like just social media, you see, your friends, the people that you work with, like moving and progressing and all the rest of that, and you're stuck like you're sick. There's a whole bunch going on family wise. You're still grieving. And it just kind of like compounded and just put me in this place. It's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't feel like I have a purpose right now. And a lot of that fueled, uh, Dawn. A lot of that fueled Dawn, a lot of that fueled just the entire sequencing of the album, how it goes from dark to light, starts with nightfall, ends with dawn, and just that the scripture that I used, like weeping endures for a night, but joy comes in the morning. It that kind of resonated with me throughout that time because you hear that, you see that, you may have heard that a million times, but nobody ever really tells you how long that night actually is, and it was just a lot. It was a lot to deal with, and I think opening up and back to opening up and being more transparent, that honestly saved my life because I was not in a good place mentally for a while just because of everything that was going on. And yeah, I like by the grace of God, my aunt heard, or we told my aunt pretty much about what was going on, and she just happened to have antibiotics. And I started taking these antibiotics, and week by week, my voice started getting stronger and stronger. And then I just went on a spree of recording, just going from intro to outro. And I think by February like 1st or 2nd, we had finished Dawn, and then by the 14th, we had shot the album cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long was the time span of you not having a voice then?
From not being able to record and making, I want to say from June 2019 up until mid January. Like before that, the entire kind of 2019 from like March is when I started getting sick. So I started feeling it in like March, and then as it progressed, it just got to a point where it was just I knew that I couldn't do anything. So I was just literally sitting there writing ideas down the entire second half of 2019 until I started taking the medicine in 2020 and started my voice started healing itself, and taking the antibiotics and stuff. So yeah, from like around Marchish to January of 2020.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So did you ever find out what exactly happened? I mean, obviously it was some sort of virus if the antibiotics killed it.
Yeah, I think it started off as like a sinus infection, but because it went untreated as that for so long, and I kept coughing and I kept trying to clear my own throat, it just started damaging my voice. Like it was burning and stuff after a while, and it just like it wasn't, it just wasn't there. And like I tried to sing and I couldn't do that. I tried to rap, I tried to talk aggressively, and like I couldn't at all. And it was, you just feel powerless, like, because again, this is something I've been doing every day. Like literally, I'd go to school, I'd come home 3:30 or 4 o'clock, whatever it was, and literally until maybe 2 in the morning, I'd be working on music. And then just this is this is really, it's really my life. Like I put everything into music, like everything that I may not say to somebody else or talk about in public, I can talk to the microphone about, and it's cathartic. So not being able to do that and having no sort of outlet was kind of like, it was scary. It was scary for a while.
You were like Ariel from Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we know that that last show before you completely lost your voice, like that was God.
Mm,
You're talking about, like, for some
hmm.
reason I made it through. Like that was God. He let you
Yeah.
finish that. But how would you say, how does God's presence in your life look like personally, outside of the music, but personally, what does his presence look like?
Um, in terms of like how I feel, or
Yeah, I mean, he's present in your life.
Mhm.
How do you recognize his presence? Or do you even feel like he's presently there?
No, I do. This is actually something that I've been working on recently. I've been stopping myself, and I'm trying to work on being a lot more grateful, because I feel like as humans we may set goals, and we may think of, where we should be or where we think we should be in life, and you know I I have to stop myself and realize that I'm not on my own time, I'm on God's time. And in the simplest things, when I catch myself complaining, this is something I've been doing recently. I think since I started getting sick, I I would stop myself, and I would just look at everything around me like I'm complaining about not being able to do X, Y, Z, when somebody would kill to have a roof over their head right now. Somebody would, kill to have this hot water that I'm just absentmindedly washing dishes with. Like, just certain things that I've been blessed with, that I'm not, that I just take for granted, and I just apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry for not realizing just how blessed I am. Like, despite my circumstances, despite whatever I'm going through, like, I still have breath in my body, and I'm still able to make something happen. Like, that's my philosophy pretty much. Like, as long as I'm here, I have presence of mind, I have activity in my limbs, like I'm still here. Like, there's still story for me left. So that that kind of showed itself a little bit on Dawn, where I was kind of just thinking about all the times that I felt like, this story might be over, and there's really no hope. It was like, yo, you're here, you're breathing, you still have a chance. You saw another sunrise. So it's like, I feel God in like the simple things. It's just, I feel like we kind of try to make it a lot more complicated than it actually is. And I'm like, I can inhale, I can breathe right now. Like, I'm here, I'm physically here, and it's just things like that is where I feel closest to him.
All right. We're going to move on to a topic or area I call the hot topic. So, what's trending on Twitter? And I found
Yeah.
two trending topics. Kind of, we'll discuss, get away from some of the seriousness we were just discussing. Um, but the first one, Lady Gaga is trending. I don't know if you heard, but her dog walker was shot 4 times by thieves last night, who then stole two of the singer's French bulldogs, Koji and Gustav. And she had three of them. The third one escaped. Yeah, so now she has a reward. She's like asking no questions. She's just, I forgot how much the award was, like 500,000 or something. But I mean,
Sheesh.
thoughts.
Humanity, man. Man. See, that's the kind of thing that, see, those type of situations, and just hearing about people's, homes and stuff being broken into, and a lot, just people who are in the public eye, that's just something that I've always been kind of like wary of. Is just being too accessible, and just that kind of stuff. It just makes me paranoid. Like, even I'm nowhere near Lady Gaga, but sometimes I've had situations where I've kind of had to like get people away from me, because when people see an opportunity, it's kind of like they don't really see you as a human. It's kind of like, it's weird. They see you as this like walking opportunity. It's just strange. Like, man.
Definitely is strange. People are strange. The world is strange. It's like the
Yeah,
streets ain't safe for nobody. Like,
nah.
I mean, we already know as an artist, especially like, as a rapper, it's not safe,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even just, recent years with Nipsey and
Yeah.
Pop Smoke. But now it's like,
Actually, we're in
oh,
commercial
here we
right
go,
now.
Rickshaw. But dog walkers, like the dog walkers ain't even safe.
Yes, nuts. That's nuts, bro. Like, shot the dog for what, man? Like,
Like it had to have been to get a reward for the dog. That had to have been it. Like they had to know that she would pay anything to get the dogs back. Like I don't know. Why else would you shoot a dog walker and steal a celebrity's dogs?
that's crazy. Some people, I just, just the actions of some people, just it. People are desperate out here, man. It's a wild world that we live in.
Another trending topic is Post Malone. He's released a cover of Hootie and the Blowfish's 1995 hit, the song "Only Want to Be with You," and people are going nuts over it. They're loving it. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've heard about that. Um,
I actually haven't heard it yet. I have not heard it.
let's take a listen. Are you familiar with the Hootie song?
I believe so. I
Okay,
believe so. I think I know what song this
I'm
is.
gonna try to play just a snippet for you. I'm gonna pause.
That's man. Post is talented. I gotta give it to him, man. He's really talented. That
It's
man can sing.
cool. I mean, I see what he's doing. I can see why people are excited because one, I mean,
Hmm.
that song was a classic and it's Hootie
Yeah.
and Post Malone, but it sounds like Post Malone. Like I don't know. He always
Nah, it does.
he just always sounds like that.
Yeah. Nah, I feel that.
Um, but I mean, how important as an artist do you think it is to express yourself and experiment with different sounds and play with something like that?
For me, this literally been everything. I kind of found myself and my sound through uh experimenting and covering other people's records and things like that. Like I've in my early career, like I covered John Bellion records, I've covered Frank Ocean records, I've covered Drake records, I've covered so many different people's songs, and I feel like I found my sound and what works for me and what I feel most comfortable doing just through all of my other influences, and it just they kind of you have people who shape your sound, but then it comes to a point where you figure out your own path through all of your influences and stuff. So I mean, in regards to Post, I'm happy he's just far away from the White Iverson days. I much respect to him. I just wasn't rocking with that whole aesthetic, but I'm glad he's doing what makes him happy.
Right on. Do you think that you also have to think and consider your audience and whether or not, I mean, if you experiment with something totally new that they're not used to you doing,
Mhm.
do you think you should keep them in mind or just create and, use your artistic expression to make what you want to make?
That's something that I actually deal with a lot because even when it comes to say rapping and singing, you have people who might love you for different reasons, and if you rap a bunch, you might be neglecting a certain section of your audience, and if you sing a bunch of people be like, "Yo, bro, where's the bars at?" And it's just like it comes to a point where you can't please everyone. So I try to find I try to find a happy middle ground of between me, experimenting and trying new things, and knowing what my audience wants and knowing the things that would get them excited, and just trying to find a clear middle ground through all of that, because it's impossible to please everyone at the end of the day. So I just try to cover all of my bases all the time. Like I definitely make sure that I definitely sing a bunch, and then I definitely try to at least have a couple, more aggressive, like lyrical heavy records, and just be able to not please everyone, but just make everyone happy. I guess at the end of the day, and just with progressing with my sound.
Yeah. I think you do a really good blend of it. I don't think I've ever been like, oh, I wanted to hear more of this and less of that with your stuff. So,
Oh,
okay,
thank you,
let's
thank
get into your music. So we know that you started
you. Yeah,
playing the piano at the age of 5 and discovered that you
yeah.
can just pick up by sound. Um,
Hmm.
and we discussed when I originally talked to you, you getting into rapping at the age of 8 after watching 8 Mile.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
when when did you like heavily, for those who aren't really too familiar with your music, like when did you like heavily really start making music and start getting noticed as a rapper, singer, artist?
Um. hmm. So yeah, 8 years old. It's when I wrote my first rap. Uh, because I saw I saw 8 Mile. I was literally watching the movie, and the funny thing is, I had seen it earlier as a younger kid, but I couldn't really, I guess, like appreciate it. And by the time I was 8, there was just something about the rap battle scenes that I don't know. I just kind of like being able to, or the idea of being able to, express yourself and just this like aggressive form of like storytelling. I really enjoyed that, and I kind of that's when I mean I'd already been a fan of rap, but I had no ideas of trying it for myself. Like I admired Kanye and the Lupes and all the rest of that, and I just I enjoyed it as a fan, and but then I don't know, something about the battle scenes and just battle rap in general. Like I'm still a big battle rap fan to this day. Also shout out my bro the Saga, blazing a path, Christian battle rapper and stuff. Uh, I started taking it seriously when I want to say 13 is when I started working on my first album, and then by 14 I had made my first project. Um, that project is like long gone from the internet though. I hated it in retrospect, so I took it down. But then soliloquy is really what kind of I guess cemented like my name as an actual artist. It just I posted it on the internet for free and on SoundCloud and stuff like that, and different publications just picked it up, and it it kind of took its own that I wasn't really expecting, because this is something I just made off my laptop with no budget, and I just put it out for free, and from there, that's when things really started getting serious.
And how did you connect with Aaron Knight?
Actually, a funny story. So I said before that I covered a Frank Ocean. That song was a Strawberry Swing off of Nostalgia Ultra. I put it out on SoundCloud, and funny enough, Xavier Omar had followed me and heard that, and he reposted it on SoundCloud. Now, Erin had no idea who I was, but she was following Xavier. I was 16, and she heard me sing Strawberry Swing. She was like, "Who is this kid?" Then she went and found 45 and soliloquy and stuff like that, and she emailed me. I think either emailed me or DM me on Twitter. I don't remember.
I think it
It
was Twitter is what she said.
it I think I have to find these messages. Yeah, she contacted us, and it was just like, yo, I just want to be able to like chop it up with you and XYZ like that. So it turned into us like talking every Sunday just about music and strategies and things like that. And she never like was like, here's this contract, let me manage you. And it was just more like, I just want to be able to kind of grow with you and stuff like that. So we actually officially met the year later. When I turned 17, I actually went down to Atlanta. We met, and from there, it just kind of started rapidly progressing. Like by I want to say March or April of 2017, we actually did our first like show together. Well, two shows. We sold out two shows in Toronto, and that was crazy. That was still to this day, that's a highlight for me, because first time getting out the country, first time really like leaving kind of the state and stuff on my own, like just being, I guess, moving around, I guess, as an actual artist, and having merch with me and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Like that was my first real experience doing that. So yeah, we started rocking when I was 17.
Dope. All right. And then let's talk about bench warmers.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about bench warmers? And that's all you, right?
Yeah, Benchwarmers is me. So I was this is funny enough, this is actually around the same time. I was 17, and I really didn't know uh what, I guess, my base or my fan base. I don't really like using the word fans. It just kind of feels weird to me. Like the people who support me. Rihanna is the Navy. Like there's the Deadheads. There's the different groups of people who kind of live under one banner, and something that I knew it was gonna have to be kind of like sports related, just because sports was a big part of my life growing up. Like up until the time that I started um, releasing music, like seriously, with like "So Help Me God" being the first commercial effort. Like I was basketball and football literally from the time that I was like 5. Uh, and then there was one season. There was one season when, I don't even want to say his name, but shout out to that coach who just had a vendetta against me for whatever reason. And it was like, it wasn't like I was chump or nothing. Like I was on varsity and stuff. Like he just would not let me in these games. Like I'd get in for 5 minutes, and then for the rest of the game, I'm like, yo, what's the issue? Like he would just bench me all the time for whatever reason. I don't know why he ain't like me, but I kind of sat back and thought, like, all right, I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm equipped to be in this game, but it just takes that one opportunity for them to let me off the leash and be able to do it, and do what I have to do, and show my full ability. Light bulb. I'm gonna call my this is gonna be bench warmers. This is gonna be bench warmers, and I kind of just ran with that, and it was just it turned into multiple different facets. Like I have Benchwarmers Publishing now, so every time I write a song that goes into Benchwarmers Publishing, Benchwarmers LLC, which is like the actual, I guess, label or whatever for me. It yeah, it kind of just took a life of its own, and like even still to this day, I'll see kids like put Benchwarmers in their bio and things like that, and it's just it's a beautiful thing to see, like just a concept that I have just turn into something physical. So yeah, that's where the entire idea came from.
All right. And let's talk about So Help Me God 2.
Yeah,
You had a movie and an album.
yeah.
Now, I was fortunate. I did get to see the movie in
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta. So that was a really cool experience.
Right.
And for the rest of the world, how
Yeah.
and when will they be able to see the movie?
February 27th.
Oh,
If you hit the link in my bio on everything right now, or my pinned tweet on Twitter, or the link in my Instagram bio, there's a link that sends you to Eventbrite, and you can choose between the different tiers, and you can either like just pay $5 and just see the actual movie, or you can pay a little bit more. There's a merch bundle that comes with it. There's a Zoom call afterwards where you can talk to me about it and everything. Yeah, we're releasing it uh one night only, like a digital premiere, and we're working on some other things too that we still can't really talk about, but we're just we're I'm really excited about this. It was really a this was nuts, because it's kind of a spur of the moment thing that my manager popped up on me. I had no idea that she was like, dead set about this. He was like, "We should make a movie." I was like, "Oh, okay, like yeah, that sounds cool." He's like, "Nah, like write the treatment." I was like, "Huh, like right now?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was okay. So then by the time I was literally moving, I was moving, and I think I wrote the entire treatment for him before I had to get up and like move the last pieces of furniture out the house, and it worked. Like I just chronicled like just different events in my life, and it just shout out to Ye, shout out to Brandon, shout out to 413 Creatives, uh Preston for just the crazy cinematography. Shout out to Mir who played younger me. She, oh my god, like it was I was in the room like in the certain scenes like where he's in the room writing and stuff, like I'm in the corner off screen like almost trying to hold back tears because this is actually stuff that I did as a kid, and it was, oh man, it was amazing. It was an incredible experience just making that.
So, and so the album, what about let's talk about the production one. Because the
Yeah,
production is so sick. Um,
yeah,
I think you mentioned Anthony Cruz, and
yeah.
was there other producers on the project?
Yes, there's a bunch of producers.
Okay.
Let me see if I can name them all. Anthony Cruz, who really like took the helm of everything. Anthony Cruz, who goes by 1995. Kilowatts. Enzo Grand. Um, Dillon Graham, who did Fool and Proud. Uh, Obed, who did guitar on a bunch of different songs for me. Um, Dopeboy, who actually co-produced on Fool. Pellom Junior, who also co-produced on Fool. Kyle Steinberger, who did Ballan, and he did Hell and Back with me. Uh, it was really like all of my friends that we may have worked on either different projects together. We all kind of came together and worked on stuff for this, and it was a process. It was like it was during the time where I was still trying to navigate, not having a voice and stuff like that. So I'd be like, yo, can y'all just send me the most like off the wall, like weird stuff that y'all would never send to anybody else? And that's kind of how we got Numb. Numb came from two different demos, and it was just like, I don't know why, but I hear these two being together, and they fit. And I'm gonna tell this story about XYZ, and I'm gonna piece it together with these different sound effects, and then I put a first half of this song and another demo together, and I was like, this has to stay this way. It was just a process of just finding different things that we wouldn't do otherwise. Like, even Dawn, we kind of stumbled upon by accident. I was sitting in my friend Enzo's basement, and he just plays me this like guitar loop, and he was like, "I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this," and I was like, "Yo." Something about it just like jumped out at me, and I was like, "Yo, send me that, and I'm gonna work on it." He sent it to me, and it was just a moment of like pure creation and not even thinking about, like, I didn't even write anything for Dawn. It just the instrumentation kind of just spoke to me, and I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be a
Oh man.
thing where it's going to be like
Okay.
really repetitive and stuff. It's
I
just
lost you for a second.
it was
So I didn't get anything after
oh
you're talking about Dawn and you were saying I knew
yeah.
this wasn't gonna be, and it got stuck.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't gonna be like super lyric heavy. I knew it was gonna be something where I was gonna like repeat the same phrase a bunch of times. I just didn't know what I was gonna say. And that was the time where I mean, I've talked about it before. I was just, feeling like I don't have a purpose, or, maybe feeling depressed, and just going through a whole bunch of different stuff. And I kind of felt like that scripture was kind of God telling me, like, I'm not done with you yet. Like weeping endures for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Like as long as you're still here, I still have a plan for you. So I just kind of went in and just, I literally stood in different, I stood my microphone up and stood in different sections of the room and kind of like made a one man choir and just stacked my voice on top of each other. And then I got my friend Aaron Cole to, to do like I just was like, yo, lead the choir, like just have a solo, just go crazy. And he just chose his different pockets and stuff like that. And just this entire process was just, it was just so much more involved with other people. Like usually I'm kind of like self-contained. Like even if I get production from other people, it's kind of like me taking it and just going back and just working on it by myself. But this time I actually went different places, and this first time I actually traveled to other studios because I record by myself usually, but this time I actually went and sat and went into Anthony's house and Enzo's house. I'm like, all right, this is how we're gonna do the master. Let's listen to it a bunch of times. Let's make different versions. Let's do. So it was a lot more involved this time.
Yeah, and I was curious about your role as far as in the production, knowing how musically
Mm,
inclined you are, like how much input you had. But it sounds like you kind of were kind of
yeah.
orchestrating it all.
Oh yeah, some of the songs I did by myself, like "Smile." I produced the second half of "Hell and Back," that um kind of tribal kind of like B portion that came from a completely other different song that I was trying to work on, and I don't know, it just felt like I needed. I like having changes of pace in records. This is something I've been doing on different projects. I have two halves of a song stitched together, and I felt like Helen Back kind of needed, even though Nightfall is technically the intro, Helen Back is really the introduction to everything about the project. And I just wanted to have like a grand moment. So that beat, that was entirely produced by me, that second half. And I knew it was gonna be right at the end of that. And I just took it from another song and I just tried something. I placed it there and it actually fit perfectly. That I worked on which ones did I work? I co-produce on so many different records. Like to not I try not to like mess with other people's stuff, but it just comes to a point where I'll do something weird in the way I record and I have to like adapt it to how I sound. So it literally, there's so many different records where I'll take the drums out and I'll put my own drums, or I'll do this and I'll get somebody else to play guitar and stuff like that. So I'm like heavily involved in the production process.
I see. I mean, I love the way that you just how the whole album flows, and
Mm,
and even like how you said what you did with Hell and Back, how just the beat switches and it just gets like grittier. You know, it comes out of the
yeah,
Heavenly Father and then the beat switches and gets super
yeah,
gritty and then plays again into the Heavenly Father and then like transitions
mm,
into Numb, like all of that. And but that's like how I grew up on, like music I grew up on. So
mm,
it's rare these days for newer artists to make music like that. They're so focused on the singles, on just having a song
mm,
on
mm,
a playlist. But the beauty of
mm,
this project is the entire it's in its entirety. Like the songs are dope, but when you listen to it
mm,
in its entirety from start to finish
yeah,
and how everything flows, it's a totally different
yeah.
vibe.
Thank you, thank you. That's definitely something that I pride myself on. I feel like I don't know, like everyone around me always makes a joke that I'm like secretly 40 years old, just because,
You are.
just
You
because
are.
I'm like they always say that I'm mad old, and I'm like I mean I guess it's just I grew up in a lot of stuff that was
40
before
years is
my
that
time.
old,
Like
but continue.
it's just crazy. I appreciate a lot of things that are kind of like before my era, like after Jesus Walks, I honestly wasn't like so much so into the newer hip hop. Like I can tell you right now, Fuji's like the score was the first album that I sat and listened to, and there's so many different things that bleed into other tracks, and and the interludes being just completely different stories and all the rest of it. And it's just like that fascinated me as a kid. So it was only right that I kind of adapted that, and because I feel like today is like that's also something that I kind of beefed with just with just people at labels and stuff like that, because they're so hyper focused on, okay, what's the single, and
Mhm.
so if you think about it, like we put Numb out as a single, and that's not supposed to work as a single because it's two different songs, but it did for some reason, and it's just for me, it's just about the art. Like I just like being able to have a like a cohesive body of art. I want this to be an experience every time somebody listens to an album of mine, but I also want people to be able to pick their favorite songs. Like you can take Bust Down out of the lineup and it'll still stand on its own. Like you put it in a random playlist somewhere. Like I try to meld like those worlds and bring them together of just having something that's an overarching storyline, but then also having these records still be able to stand by themselves.
Well, you did it. And,
Thank you, thank you.
what about the decision to make the album parental advisory?
Honestly, it just became. It honestly wasn't even like a thought, to be honest. It just happened when, especially when I was writing records like Role Model and stuff like that. Like I don't know, I just felt like some of it, especially those deeper records, some of it had to be the way it was, and I felt as if I felt like I'd be pulling a punch if I went back and tried to like change it or just censor it, because I felt like in throughout the entire project I try to do things from the standpoint of just like complete honest storytelling. Like you're never gonna get me on a song. You're gonna hear me talking about lean and XYZ, like just stuff that I'm not about. Like I'm gonna be 100% honest about who I am, and this project I feel like is the most accurate depiction so far of who I am now as an artist, and just growing and getting older and just being a lot more forthcoming with information about me, and just more expression. Like I feel like before it was good music, like there was good music that I made, but I felt like uh maybe a lot more people don't know who I am on a deeper level, so I felt like it wouldn't make sense for me to write something out of just needing catharsis and then just going back and trying to like pull punches and things like that. So I left it the way it is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And just on a side note, I want to say thank you for the John Gibbs rap feature,
Yeah.
which I guess
Man,
kind of
that
goes.
was that that was that's still exciting to me because I've if people don't know, I've been trying to get John on a record since I was like 15. I had this song off of this album called this album Soliloquy, and Focused. I left that second half open, and I was like, I really want to get John Gibbs on this, and he'd been following me since back then. So I was like, dang, maybe if I just shoot, like I might be able to get him on it. So it's almost like a full circle moment. There's a lot of full circle moments on this album, like even Xavier getting on it's just like he's the reason I found my manager, and just this whole full circle thing of now he's finally on my album, and it's just I don't know, everything just kind of fell into place this time, and it was an amazing experience just putting this thing together.
That's awesome, man. And then, okay, because this has just been bugging me with the John Gibbs song. What is that sample? There's a sample.
I literally wrote it down. Hold on, I wrote it down.
Like, it keeps bugging me. I'm like, I know this. It feels like 90s. I don't
It
like, what
is.
is this song?
So what we took it from was the original. It's called Petite Flair by Chris Barber's band. Chris Barber's jazz band. It was put out in 1959,
What?
but I'm pretty sure Diddy had used it in
Yeah,
something.
I'm like, if it sounds like Bad Boy, like I know
Yeah,
something. Okay.
yeah, Diddy had used it in something, but we took it from the original sample.
What was the guy's name again?
The Chris Barber's jazz band.
Chris Barber's jazz band. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, with that feature and then John Givens, I was just like, what? This song?
yeah.
Okay.
That
Um,
was actually his first rap verse in a while. Like I kind of convinced him. I was like, "Fam, I know you on your R&B thing, bro.
yeah.
I kind of need you to rap, bro."
That's why I specifically said his rap feature.
Mhm.
I had been seeing for a while, like, John Gibbs will be featured, and then I'll check it out. And it's either him on the hook or him doing
Mhm.
background vocals. I'm like, really? Background vocals? Like,
Yeah.
seriously? So, let the album. Okay, we finished talking about the album. I think we covered a lot in there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The
Yeah.
movie is amazing. How
Thank you.
everything
Thank you.
flowed. In the movie, you even used that song that John gives. I remember that in the movie as
Yeah.
well. Like, I don't know, it was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk about this Def Jam Connect. What's going on with Def Jam and them taking the Get It anthem and it being for the Jets? What's all that?
Yeah. So it was actually a wild. It was just a wild situation. There was a shout out to Jason Peerless and A&R at Def Jam. He found my music and he was a fan of the music and he was just like, yo, I just want to talk to be able, maybe you can come into the office, XYZ. So they actually brought Aaron up too. We met and they were like, yeah, Paul Rosenberg wants to meet with you. I was like,
What?
huh?
Wait, and you said what brought Aaron Cole? Aaron who came? Oh, Aaron
Aaron, no,
Knight.
Aaron Knight, Aaron
Okay.
Knight, yeah, my manager.
Aaron
Yeah.
Knight says, okay, get to meet Paul Rosenberg. What? Okay, continue.
So yeah, so me being the kid who literally started because of 8 Mile, I'm like
Yeah.
Paul, like the guy on the skits on his albums, like so yeah. I walked in the office and stuff. To make things worse, this dude is like 6'6", so he's mad intimidating. I'm like, yo, like this is nuts. And he's like, hey, I'm Paul. I'm like, dude, I know who you are. This is nuts. So yeah, they brought us in. We were just talking and stuff like that, and just um, they had actually sent Get It to like I guess the media department or whatever at the Jets because they were looking for an anthem for the 2019-2020 season, and apparently somebody in the Jets office was already a fan of mine, and they were like, "Yo, that's Kaleb. Like yeah, I know this kid. Like he's super dope." So they had somebody that was already vouching for us, and I had no idea who it was. So it was almost like this, like just divine thing, kind of like or
Yeah.
it just fell into place. And then they, presented us with a single deal and stuff like that, and to be able to use the record and things just happened super fast after that. They put the record out again, re-released it, and the Jets had a whole, like hype video and commercial playing with it, and every single time that they played at the stadium, the song would come on as they came out the tunnel, and it was just nuts, and we were able to get Casanova and stuff on the remix, and it was just nuts. It was a super cool experience, being on the inside and seeing just how labels work and stuff like that.
That is so dope, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Right. Is there anything else we should know? Anything we should be looking forward to in the future?
Um, I don't want to ruin anything.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin any surprises, but yeah, I'm de- I'm not finished. I'm definitely not finished. So we'll be back soon. That's all I gotta say.
All right. And how does God's presence look like in your life musically?
Musically, actually,
Besides
that's a
looking
good
you up for
question.
Paul Rosenberg.
Ish. I feel like honestly, situations like that, like just things. I feel like the way things came together, especially through the hardships of trying to create this album, just how easy things came to us, like just as a group, like the group that created the project. Just certain things that just wouldn't have happened. Like it just wasn't happenstance that these things happen. Like uh, example, my friend Kevin Hackett, who did the art, he's from Vancouver, and he just happens to have a flight layover in New York near my house on for like a day, and we're able to finally, after years of working remotely, he's finally able to actually shoot my album cover himself. Just things like that happening. Just it's just like, all right, this can't be a coincidence. Like this, I don't have a voice, and we're still making this album. Like this can't be a coincidence. So I definitely, just feel him in the things where I just go and I trust, and then things actually come together. So yeah.
All right. And my final question, now that you've actually done 2 interviews with me, who would you like to see me
Yeah.
interview? Whose testimony would you like to hear?
Hmm, 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 hmm. Let me see. Let me see. That's a good question. I have you talked to Aaron yet?
Aaron Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually just did him a couple towards the end of the year, so that's available.
Okay. 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 Because I don't know. I just thought his story is pretty interesting because he started even younger than I did. So
It is. I think that
yeah.
was like an hour and a half interview right there. It was fun.
Yeah. Um. Would you do an interview with somebody who isn't an artist?
um, Depending, like I would love to talk to Aaron Knight.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
I was just about to say that because I feel like she has a lot of knowledge to share, and a lot of just a lot of personal experiences that she can pull from, which would be an incredible interview in my opinion.
yeah. No, I definitely would be down to do something like that. So
Or
yeah, that's a good recommendation, and hopefully we can make that happen. Especially if she watches this.
or I'm sure she's going to see every single second of this.
All right, awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing more music from you.
Most definitely. Yeah.
All right, bye. Hey, what's up? Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for watching the show. However, you consume us, thank you. Please subscribe to the show. And if you really enjoy the content, please leave a review. It really does help with the ranking of the show. And if you want to go an extra mile, share the show, share this episode. And for all things testimony, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Gaelika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.